This is Dystopian Fiction, Lesson 5, Characterization. It was mentioned on a previous video that the main or principal character in a story is called the protagonist. And in a dystopian story, the protagonist is often has heroic qualities. And so what we're going to do is look a little bit at how or what the characteristics of a dystopian hero are, and then we're going to begin to develop some ideas about our own dystopian hero for our own dystopian stories. We have a list here of some typical characteristics of a dystopian hero. So number one, frail. Now that seems quite an odd word to use, doesn't it? The idea of frailty, because frailty suggests weakness, a lack of strength. But the frailty is often due to the fact that they are outside of society, that they have beliefs that there's something wrong with society, and it creates a kind of frailty in their character. They become quite vulnerable characters, characters that the whole sort of system is against. So frailty is a key characteristic, even if they are a strong character in other ways. Secondly, a questioning nature. So they're kind of inquisitive, they're nosy, they don't accept the way things are, and it's their questioning that often gets them into difficulties. Moral compass. They usually have quite strong moral values that might actually be part of the reason that they are at odds with the society that they live in, because their own sense of morality is in conflict with the moral principles of the dystopian world that they operate within. Number four is independent. They are often independent characters, often very autonomous characters in the sense that they can operate on their own. They're self-reliant and resilient. They don't always need other people. So they can often be sort of loners quite often in these stories, or have kind of loner kind of characteristics. They don't kind of follow the norms of society. They do to some extent because they have to survive, but there'd be something about them that kind of doesn't really accept the norms in their society. So they're independent. They think independently of it. Brave. So bravery. Yes, they often have some considerable strengths, physically and mentally, even though they've been earlier described as frail. I think frail, you should see that as another word for vulnerable, because of their questioning nature and the fact that they have a set of morals that are different from the society that they work within. It can make them seem frail, but they will all often be quite strong and physically and mentally capable individuals. Another characteristic is that they feel trapped. There's something they've realised there's something wrong with this society, and they feel trapped within it. If you remember, we wrote a piece where we described school as a prison. The idea of being imprisoned in this society will be important. Gender, it doesn't matter what gender they are, does it? I mean, we've got male and female role models. The gender is really up to you what you want to choose there. Okay, we're going to now start to build a sense of who our main character, our protagonist in our dystopian story that we're ultimately going to write. We're going to start building that character, and we're going to start building that character from outside in. So what I mean here, we're going to look at the way they appear, their appearance, and focus on sort of external aspects of the character. And what you're going to do is you're going to do that by focusing on the hand. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to put your hand on a piece of paper, and I'm going to get you to draw around. I want you to draw around it, and then in the finger and thumb spaces, you're going to put a list of things that you do as a human being in your life. Okay, what kind of things do you do? Fill out all the finger and thumb spaces with a list. I have an example of my own hand that I'll show you in a minute. And then in the palm space, or in the central space, write a physical description of both sides of your hand. Okay, and the reason for doing this is just to start thinking about how you as an if you're writing a character, a good place to start drawing upon ideas for a character is yourself. We'll have a lot inside us in terms of our experiences and our attitudes and values that we can use to help build our own fictional dystopian character. So we're focusing on ourselves a little bit to start with. Okay, you'll see in front of you my hand, but in it I've written some notes that don't relate to me, but relate to my dystopian character. If you remember, I started off with a character called Rack that I'd invented in a sort of prehistoric dystopian world. So after you've drawn an outline of your hand and written notes about yourself, you're then going to do the same thing. So you're going to basically write two hands, and in the second hand outline you're going to complete details for your dystopian hero. So here I've written leads the hunt, checks routes, provides for his family, doesn't join in social occasions, he's experienced and trusted. So in the in the thumb, he built his own home. So in the fingers and thumb, write down things that he does, things about his general life, and then in the palm area, write down some description of the hand itself. And you'll be able to build this out into a general kind of character study. So, scar next to the thumb from an animal bite, skin is marked with scratches, dirt is ingrained in the fingers are thick with strength. So that's my description of the hand. Okay, so you've got to do the same for your, if you go back to your blurb that you started with, or you may have mentioned a character, you may not have done, but if you've come up with a character idea already, apply this to your main character. If not, it's time to invent one. So just think, who could be the main character in your dystopian story that you're going to build from the blurb that you wrote in lesson 1. Here is just a note of what I've asked you to do. So this is your second-hand study for your dystopian hero. You're going to just carry out the tasks that I've outlined on the last part of the video. Here is an example of some writing that I've done in relation to the character of Rack that I have in my own story. So this is the 1 to 200 word kind of character biography to get me started, give me some ideas about what my character is going to be like. So these are all taken from the notes in the hand drawing that you saw a bit earlier. So I'll just read this out to you, make a couple of comments, and then I'll let you get on with it. So, Rack is an experienced hunter who often leads the hunt for food and checks routes. He tends not to participate in the actual animal chase as he is older now and not as fast or as strong as the other hunters, but his experience helps the younger men. He is valued in the community because of his hunting skills and because he has led their hunt for many years. He also built his own hut and taught others how to build theirs when the hunter-gatherers first settled in the valley and decided to farm as well as hunt. He doesn't tend to join in during social activities, as he is reserved and prefers his own company and that of his family. This has created some mistrust of him from others who believe that he thinks he is superior to the main community. Rack's right hand has a long scar near the thumb from an animal bite when he was younger. It's shaped like a crescent moon. Years of dirt and blood have stained his hands red, with the paws ingrained with black. His fingers are thick and strong like vines. Rack is one of the tallest in the community, and his long legs enabled him to run very fast when he was younger. His beard is long, straggly and streaked with thin lines of grey. Blue eyes hold your gaze when he speaks. His tone is measured, and he speaks slowly and with care. His strength, as well as his weakness, is that he is very inquisitive. Okay, now that's based on the notes from the hand image. You'll notice lots of things have been said there, have been added and developed, but the ideas have all come from the kind of notes in the hand. So the hand has given me a kind of a platform to build this more detailed description on. There's a little bit of, I've put some imagery at the bottom, there's a couple of similes there, but don't worry too much about that at the minute. You're just trying to get you're trying to develop your thoughts about the character. You're going to use this information once you write your dystopian story. Here is a summary of the 3 tasks that you should have undertaken in this lesson. After the introduction about dystopian heroes, you should then have firstly written or drawn an outline of your own hand, and then written about yourself in it. Then secondly, you should have drawn another outline of your hand and used that to create notes relating to your dystopian hero. And then thirdly, you should have written a 100 to 200 word biography of your dystopian hero, and see my example a bit earlier on the video. Best of luck to you.